Welcome back to Find a Grave Extreme, or as I call it. I thought I'd show you the tripod hoist I built before I dismantle it. As I've seen in other videos, basically I made the legs out of basement floor jacks, and right now I've got two and a half legs, I guess I'll call it, or 1.5 legs. I do have the top two sections consist of one box at about $35 a leg. I've got one extension on it. So currently I've got from ground to hoist about roughly 8 feet of lift. You'll see that I've got some feet made from parts that came. I just bent the metal, put some pins in. The safety chains here keep the legs from splaying, especially if you don't have solid footing or solid dirt. And this definitely was much easier to hoist and assemble. My helper just left a little while ago. So additionally, we've got the stone, which was laying flat on the ground. Right now it's a 10-foot lifting strap or sling. We've got it I think double wrapped into kind of a choke hold. Next time I guess I would actually use both of them so that I've got a choke hold on both sides so I can get a more even lift. Right now we've kind of compensated with kind of a little ratchet strap to help make it more upright. We just finished setting the base and the die. We leveled it basically using coins, depending on how much shimming we need. We used pennies, nickels, dimes, and or stacks of plexiglass, about 1/16 of an inch thick. So, and then the compound that we used in kind of a rope form was supplied by a local monument setter maker who's done some restoration out here as well. But so, as in the other video I showed you, that basically we took some of these tubing, had to drill some more holes, but I used hitch pins to assemble them and adjust them. If this stone was any heavier, I think I would shorten the chains to bring the legs together a little more for a little more vertical strength. But you know, we tried to use caution and stayed out of the what we called the kill zone underneath it while we were lifting until basically the monument was sitting under its own weight. So, and then the other thing, as I mentioned before, is having these splay chains or restrictor chains. I've hooked them. I added a safety or spring clip on each side of these hitch pins, and these hitch pins are grade 5. But I added a spring clip on each side. The handles, the hitch pins also help as a kind of a handle to move the legs, reposition to kind of carry it around. And what we found the easiest way to erect this is actually to bring the middle leg basically out in the opposite direction of the other two legs, and then when we're ready to lift it in place, we just kind of walked it and raised it. And at some point, if you have more than one person, when it was a few feet off the air, then we assembled or attached the chain hoist, so we were only lifting it a few feet rather than getting a ladder or trying to lift everything by yourself or at once. Can be done by yourself, but it's definitely a heck of a lot easier with a helper. So we've been out here for I'm not sure the time, but probably now since this is our first day. The concrete pads were already set, but we probably put in close to 2 to 3 hours to do two monuments out in this cemetery. So basically I'm ready to take this down, unstrap it, take the chains off, and unhook all the tubes, and they'll just fit right in the back of my pickup. There's 3 more tubes that will extend at about another 3 feet in the air. So, and the joint compound, the setting compound, this is what I used according to my local monument company. Said he's used this for about 30 years, and he says what's good about that is he doesn't use epoxy, because this way, this will probably last 60 years, he said, and if needed, you can still break this bond, but otherwise, the weight of the monument itself should hold it in place. The setting compound, we kind of roll it into a rope, wedge it in there. We put nickels, dimes, pennies, a minimum of a penny under each corner, and then we added other coinage, other coins to plumb it up, and then rolled some of the setting compound into a rope and put it right on the edge, set the monument down, let it squeeze out, and then I used a mortar tuck point tool to kind of create the groove. And what we found very helpful was to dip the tool in water, and or take a paintbrush and just dip the paintbrush in water and spread it over the compound, and it made it smooth out, just like a caulk does with your fingertip. The other thing about the safety chains is it allows you to keep your chains from your hoist away from the monument, and also keeps people outside of the lifting zone. So in all, very pleased with what we've got here. And as I indicated in another video, we've got about 240 bucks, not even 240 with tax probably, but each set of legs, and I've got 6 sets, are about 35 bucks on sale. So we got about 240 bucks there. We've got about $8 worth of chain up there. It was 2 feet, grade 70, and that size was essentially, the big chain was sized because that was the smallest chain we can get to fit around that 5/8 inch grade 8 bolt. These hitch pins are grade 5 and much handier than using nuts and bolts. Just pull the safety clip, pull the pins, take the chains off, and you'll have it down in the ground in pieces in no time. So hope you gather some ideas, and really, if other than drilling holes, it's simple to do. About the only thing that you need to do uniquely, I guess, is up at the top, in order to let the 2 outside legs splay apart. You have to basically make an elongated hole, and I'm not sure if you can see that from this position, but 1 inch on center from the end and 2 inch on center for the end. I drilled probably about a 11/16 hole, and then I used a little cutoff wheel to remove the excess metal. So now as it's in the air, the legs are allowed to splay out and form the tripod. But when it comes down onto the ground, basically then they fold up, basically parallel to each other. And so we'll knock this down, pull the hitch pins out, and we can stack it neatly and easily in the back of the pickup, or even in the trunk of your car. So hope that helps, and thanks to everybody else for posting videos.